Welcome to a very special edition of State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We are, in fact, taping this program on March 20th. It'll be seen after that. I want to make it clear, we're not the news. We're not CNN. We're not NJTV News. We're not the folks you're going to get the most up-to-date information from, but we are the folks here at State of Affairs, together with our colleagues here at East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey, where we are, in fact, taping with a skeleton but very brave and proud and strong crew here, trying to make sense longer term. What does this all mean? So the interviews that we're about to conduct are with people who aren't just simply covering the coronavirus story, but thinking about it from a variety of levels. Our first guest I want to introduce is Tom Bergeron. He is the editor and chief content officer at ROI-NJ. Most importantly, Tom, as we speak right now, you and your family, you doing okay?
We're all good. We're hanging in there like everybody else, taking precautions, trying to figure out the best way to get through this. And, things are changing by the day and the hour.
And obviously, speaking of being safe, social distancing requires remote Skype, other forms of interviews. And we're on blue jeans. Just want to acknowledge that there are all kinds of ways people are communicating. I'm not sure that Tom's wearing his jeans. Jokes are inappropriate right now.
Yeah, I was thrilled when you said blue jeans. That's our standard work apparel. So all good.
Let me try this, Tom. Every day, every minute, every hour, the numbers are changing and numbers are people. However, if we take a step back and ask, what do you believe the most significant economic, longer-term impact could be, likely to be, if this goes on for the next couple of months? What could it be on the state of New Jersey, particularly as it relates to business and employment, et cetera?
Well, look, obviously, when we come out of this on the other side, I think it's fair to say that there's going to be some unemployment numbers up. There's going to be some businesses that don't quite make it through. And from a lot of the business leaders that I've been talking to, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we can get to that for a second. But the people that are in the most trouble now are, look, we've had a great run with the economy for 5-10 years now. And people who weren't in the best position had been humming along because the economy is great. These are the ones that are really going to struggle to come through this. This is going to be tough for everybody. There's going to need to be a lot of federal intervention. We'll talk about that. But if your business was not sound and you've been humming along because the economy is great, well, you're going to have some big issues.
It's interesting. The government, all kinds of folks who have been, I'm not going to argue some philosophical question about, we need less government. Let's shut down the government. They get in the way of the business. And now virtually everyone is asking, where is the government? What is the government doing? We need the government to do more. Question as it relates to the economy of our state of New Jersey, which is influenced and impacted by the states around us and the world. How much can and should state government first be doing? And then the feds as it relates to our economy?
Well, look, those are great questions. And the comment you made, I think, is really smart. Usually the business community wants no government regulation or intervention whatsoever. This shows how crazy these times are. The people that I'm talking to, and not just healthcare people, want government intervention. And quite frankly, they want a lot of it. You and I have had this conversation plenty of times. What businesses want is certainty in any situation. So right now, what the business community is saying is we need to have more answers. We can plan, we can work out, we know things are tough, we know things are disastrous, but we need to have a plan. So what I mean by that is twofold. One, I'm hearing more and more business leaders, not just healthcare leaders, saying we should do a complete state shutdown. Don't care if it's a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And any of this can be taken to the federal level, but they're thinking about the state level. They said, we know this is coming. We know we need to make big actions. And they applaud Governor Murphy for being out in front of all of this. They wish he would take further steps. I have heard repeatedly from business people that they wouldn't mind a 1, 2, 3 week shutdown just to try to curb it.
But I'm sorry,
they
Tom.
want certainty in the financial situation.
Tom, let me interrupt for 1 second.
And it's not so much, federal grants that we're going to need. It's just the idea of people have said, are we going to do a 1-month moratorium on mortgages? And rents for both individuals and people. Are we going to count this as an act of God for insurance purposes, right? How is that going to come? They want to see strong, specific action, not incremental action, so they can start planning. If they know the banks are going to forgive mortgages for a month, if they know that how the insurance is going to pay off, they're going to be a lot easier for them to make decisions for their people. Look, this is happening in real time. This is difficult for everybody, and it's nice to just say snap your fingers and get it done. But they're looking for more action, more restrictive action, and specifics on what's going to happen moving forward. And every day they're hoping for more and more.
A special edition of State of Affairs. We're taping this program on on March 20th, 2020. And so I want to be clear that Tom is talking about things that some of them are current, some of them in terms of minute by minute decisions that could and may be made by the governor, by the president, by others who make these decisions. Let me ask you this. The idea of sending people money, $1,000, say it's $2,000. I don't know what the number is. The federal government saying we're going to send $1,000 to every American based on some economic model. How much impact could that have? And for those who say, hey, the feds are jumping in with that, what does that really mean?
Well, look, me personally, I've got 5 kids. So you want to send money based on the household? I'm all in favor of it. But in all seriousness, I've talked to business leaders about this. It would be a nice shot in the arm. In theory, if it comes in combination with mortgages being, I don't want to say forgiven, just delayed a month, right? Everybody's mortgage payment goes 1 month longer and we pretend like this month doesn't exist, or the government steps in some way. So if you take that biggest payment out and you give everybody X number of dollars, 500, 1,000, 2,000. In theory, they're going to run right to ShopRite and Wegmans and Stu Leonard's and put that back into the economy. They're going to run to some of the small businesses that they want to support, buy some pizza, buy some Chinese food, buy some takeout. Those type of things would have an immediate impact. More than that, I think it would be a psychological impact for consumers and business owners. Now, is that going to solve the long-term problem that we send everybody $1,000, inflation issues aside? No, it's not. There needs to be stronger grants from the government, loan type forgiveness, programs like that to do it. But from a short-term interest, it would do a lot. And I think one thing that hasn't come up, and I've heard some healthcare people talk about this, the psychological damage that this is going to do to people. And it's not just the uncertainty of the world that they're living in. I had a healthcare leader tell me the other day, said, look, we want to tell everybody to stay in their houses for 2 weeks. That's great. And for some people, that's all good. But most people, there's going to be behavioral health issues where people are going to feel trapped. God forbid, people that are in a 1 or a 2 person household, there's a loneliness factor. There's a depression factor that comes into it. So we really need to be concerned about the psychological issues that come with it. So you want to send everybody money? That's going to make people feel good. It's going to make business people feel good. It's going to give you a short-term fix that quite frankly, we probably need, but it doesn't serve the long-term economic interests of businesses in New Jersey.
I want to follow up on Tom Bergeron's point. By the way, if you're listening to us or you're watching right now, this is Tom Bergeron. We're talking to editor and Chief Content Officer at our ROI-NJ. Check them out. They're incredibly valuable. Their information is spot on. They're a great resource, a media partner of ours. But I want to say this, Tom. It's interesting how you mentioned the behavioral health issues, the mental health issues. Those of us who have teenagers, and by the way, I act as if teenagers are the only ones. Everyone is struggling with this on a lot of levels. I understand and I agree that public health is first in terms of our physical safety. But Tom Bergeron actually is onto something. There are clearly, and my job is not to editorialize, there are clearly going to be long-term mental, emotional, behavioral health issues that we're going to have to deal with and be there for those who are struggling. And to me, I feel like we should be able to talk about those things and still try to keep people being safe. Final word on that, Tom, before we let you go and get back to the important work you're doing every day?
Yeah, I think you're right. And we were having this discussion in our office the other day. There are people in the generation above mine. I'll take my mother, for instance. Her life started with fleeing Lithuania from World War II. right? So that's where she started. And now she's at home in Virginia. She's 77 years old. She's worried about coronavirus. This is bookending parts of the lifetime. Is, that impact is crazy. But then let's take that other generation, that millennial generation. And we've been saying for a while, you had, the Great Recession or the economic downturn of 2008. You had a lot of high school and college kids at the time watched how that impacted their friends, their families, their neighbors, their aunts and uncles. And that gave them a jaded view of the business world, of government, of what companies will do for you. They saw their parents and their neighbors and their friends who had worked for corporations get laid off, get furloughed. And they didn't buy into the idea of a company is going to help you forever. And we always talk about the job jumping, which is a whole other issue. But part of that is if I don't think the companies are supporting me, why should I support them? So now you're going to go forward a dozen years later, and now they have, after riding a pretty good economic drive, it's going to be a big wake up call. No one is blaming companies this time around. Nobody's blaming the government. Look, this happened. But psychologically, that's another hit on their psyche. But now you have the generation of the workforce, the millennials, that is now the most popular generation of the workforce, that already had a double dip hit on big psychological advantages. To think that that's going to go away when coronaviruses drop is foolish. We're looking at another decade of impact on that, if not more. My own children are in high school and college. They didn't get the recession of 2008. But they're going to get this one. And everyone in that generation that's coming out now is going to come out to a business world that's different than what they thought it would be.
Tom, 5 children, your mom, 77, as you said, and everyone in between. We wish your family the best. I know that you're continuing to do important work. Hey, Tom, listen, best to you and your family. Take care, my friend.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
This is Steve Adubato. This is State of Affairs, a special edition coming to you from East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, the terrific team that's helping to make this happen. We're not reporting the news. We're trying to make sense of what all this means long term. We'll be right back right after this.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Gibbons PC, RWJ Barnabas Health, NJM Insurance Group, Operating Engineers, Local 825, PSE&G, Rowan University Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship, IBEW Local 102, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ, and by NJ.com. Small news, big news, true Jersey.